Hi, everyone. Tom Kreager with the Tennessean. Welcome to the Bootleg Season 4. We're entering Week 5. Of course, this show is presented by Farm Bureau Health Plans. We cannot do this show without their support. We thank them. Great week ahead. Some breaking news that's kind of fallen over the last few days that we want to discuss. We're bringing in Joe Spears to talk about that news, as well as our top 10 games on the Bootleg. Let's start it now. Joined now by Joe Spears. Joe, welcome to the show. Man, that rhymes. I didn't even try. Big news, of course. We've heard about this for about a week now. Waverly is going to play at Nissan Stadium on Thursday night. That game, they're going to be playing White House. Great game there. Let's just start at first. I mean, what does it mean to you to see that? What does that mean for you when you see that these kids get a chance to play at Nissan Stadium?
I think it's really neat. Kind of like what you wrote. And as far as we know, this is the first high school game in Nissan Stadium. And with everything that's happened with Waverly, for them to be able to play where the Titans play, to have what should be a pretty good crowd to see the replays and all that, like see themselves on that big scoreboard. It's going to be really neat. And I think also for the White House kids, obviously they're going to be as part of this as well. So you get a really good matchup in that one. I think a lot of points will be scored, but with everything that Waverly's gone through, it's really cool to see the Titans help out as much as they have these last couple weeks. And it should be a really fun atmosphere. I'm from Indiana, and the kids up there, they get to play at Lucas Oil Stadium. So I've seen how cool it is for those kids to be able to do that, to play in that pro stadium. So for them to be able to do that down here, that'll be a lot of fun, I think.
It's nice to see that someone on that team is winning on that field. It sure isn't the Colts, is it? So,
no.
Sorry, I had to throw some shade there on the Colts. Here's the thing, folks. This is, the Titans have bent over backwards already. I think they've cut a check to the school or the football program for like $50,000 or something like that. I know, and they've already made a delivery of some stuff, some appliances that they need, some practice material, practice gear and stuff. They are doing their part in this community, and it's grateful for seeing that. Here's the thing: this ticket it's going to be a hot ticket, and it's a free ticket. If you want to go to that game, go to nissanstadium.com. There's a chance where you can go out, I believe, and get a ticket to the game. It's free. They are only going to fill one side of the stadium, I believe, up on the lower bowl, I believe. But there'll be plenty of room for people that want to go to this game. It's also going to be Waverly's homecoming and their senior night, so that will be something special for them. I mean, it looked like if they're going to have a homecoming or a senior night, they're going to have a host school, because they're playing everything else on the road. They were going to have to, kind of allow them. So this is a great night for the Waverly community to see their team play at Nissan, to be able to have a senior night, to be able to have homecoming, to have a homecoming queen in a year where, obviously a lot of teams are facing a lot of adversity and a lot of things with COVID still, but they've also been displaced with damage to their schools and stuff, and obviously the facility is a total loss as far as the football facility. So it's great to see all this happen. The Mike Keith and the radio crew is going to be doing the game. I believe they're going to bring out all the cameras and stuff, so it'll be instant replay, I believe, from what I'm hearing. I think they are asking for some donations when you register for that ticket for the to help out there. I think it's like the Red Cross or Habitat, or not. I think it's Red Cross or there. But you go to that website, that'll help you out there. And it's a great, great thing. So that's the first news item of the day that we wanted to share everyone, because I know there's been a lot of people contacting me, asking me how to get tickets. So go to nissanstadium.com. There should be a place there where you can order a ticket for the game. It is free. So second item, big game announced for next week, and we'll talk more at length on this next week. Joe Spears, Lipscomb Academy going to Oakland. Two of the top teams in the Middle Tennessee area going to play each other next Thursday night. What's your first impression of this?
I mean, I don't know if a regular season matchup gets any bigger than that. Out east, you have Maryville and Alcoa every year. Oakland and Lipscomb Academy might be the two best teams in the state, regardless of class. I've seen Lipscomb Academy. That offense they're the real deal. And then last week they held a Pulaski Academy, that high-scoring offense, to 28 points. Oakland, we know about Oakland. We know Jordan James, Isaiah Hoare, and Antonio Patterson. We know what Oakland does. This is a great test for Oakland. I'm not sure. I mean, they'll play Riverdale later in the season, and that's always a good challenge for them with that defense. But we'll figure out just how good this Lipscomb Academy team is with that game. Oakland as well. Oakland really hasn't had to play a whole lot this year. They had some cancellations and all that, but I'm really excited about this one. I don't think this may be premature saying this. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think the defenses are going to kind of show out in this one because I think they're both – we talk a lot about the offenses, but the defenses are really good on both sides, and I think they'll really show out in this game. There's a lot of factors to this one, so I'm really excited to see this one next Thursday.
And so hopefully we'll be able to get one of the coaches to join us next week. Here's the thing. This game was made – I mean, both these guys both these teams missed out a week ago due to COVID issues. Their teams had to cancel on them. So I guess that's 2 weeks ago. I think at that time, everyone's saying, why didn't they play like week 3? And I think it just didn't work out right. I think some people may have been not healthy, and they say, hey, let's, I think they realized they both had the same off week. Say, hey, why don't we give us a chance for both of us to be healthy if one of them wasn't, and let's get healthy and let's have a full, have a chance to have both teams full strength, go head to head, so we really see who's better. Because I mean, let's be honest, they're two of the front runners for their respective classifications, 6A and for Oakland and Division II AA. And we're going to see a lot about how for both teams. It's going to be a great display. It's kind of the run game, the power, and the defensive tackling. I mean, the physicality that an Oakland provides versus Lipscomb that's got skill players all over the field and receivers and a quarterback in Luther Richardson who can throw it to all over the place. Had 8 touchdowns last week. They've got a good running game with Alex Broom going to Boston College. So it's a great matchup there. It's going to be a chess match. It's going to be, we're thinking, I think a lot of us were thinking, hey, it's Trent Dilfer versus Kevin Creasy, who's won multiple state titles. But it goes beyond that. Steven Jackson is one of the hot names in as far as assistant coaches go. As far as a hot commodity for a head coaching job, he is a defensive mastermind. That's going to be a good showing for him to see, can he slow down this Lipscomb offense, and also I think it's going to provide, both coaches are going to have to show some new wrinkles that maybe they wanted to wait for a postseason game, or a semifinal game versus potentially Maryville, or a championship game versus CPA. I mean, they may have to show some wrinkles that they didn't want to show at one point. Maybe now they have to show that. So I just think this is a great game. You said, is it the two best teams in the state? I don't know. I think you got to consider McCallie, 2-time defending state champion in D2 AAA out of Chattanooga. You have to throw in Maryville. Those are two of the schools that before I say those are the top 2 teams, probably those 4. Maybe throw in a CPA for good measure. Summit's pretty dang good too. But they would be they would definitely be two of the top 3 or 4, I would think, that I would consider.
Right.
So, with all that being said, need to get a little bit of humble pie here. I was informed, and we had to do a recount. I called in a recount, so we got it a little bit closer. We got it corrected, but I am no longer leading the picks in our predictions. We are tied. I may have to get one more person to sign off on that because at 1 minute I thought I was losing. Now we're tied, so we'll see. I went a little gung-ho, missed a couple. Upperman Fayetteville is the one that hurt me, and NBA versus CPA. The Lions took out their. They must have saw it because they whipped up on NBA pretty good. Missed that one. And I imagine you'll tell me any other ones. I did get BGA right, though.
You did, so, yes.
So, all right. So our game of the week, folks. This is week 5. Game of the week. Ravenwood, 3-1, and they're at Brentwood. Brentwood 1-3. And I tell you what, folks, they look like the Ravenwood we thought they were going to look like, and I wrote about that this week in the Tennessean. Throw out the records. This is the Battle of the Woods. It's a big rivalry game. I'll be honest with you. I don't know if I've ever seen Ravenwood beat Brentwood since I've been here at the Tennessean. At least not in the regular season. So It's been a while, right?
Brentwood's won 5 straight in the regular season, but Ravenwood's won 3 of the last 4 in the postseason. So it's kind of Ravenwood wins when they need to, it seems like. But in the regular season, it's been Brentwood. I agree with you. This Ravenwood, since that week 1 loss to NBA, it seems like it's a totally new team. And then last week, they get a bunch of guys back defensively that are only going to help them. Brentwood finally gets a win against Henry County, even though it was a 21-7 or 21-14 game. They're still not putting up a bunch of points, which is kind of weird to see with as many offensive weapons as they've got. Aaron Walton's really good. He's doing what we kind of expected him to do this year. But I agree with you. It's one of those throw out the record type of games. I think Brentwood will find a way to keep it close, and they maybe score a touchdown late. I think Chris Parson in that Ravenwood offense does a little too much. Miles Pollard, I think he makes a difference on both sides of the ball if he plays in this game. I think Ravenwood wins 27-20.
Okay, that's probably closer than what I did. I forgot how big a rivalry this game is when I picked it. I think Ravenwood wins this game. I'm predicting a couple scores though, 3 scores to be exact. I think 42-20 Ravenwood wins this one. I just look at what they got. They're rolling right now. They're starting to play on all cylinders. You got a defense that's playing well. It's only gonna get better. They got Andrew Dudas back at linebacker. They got Miles Pollard and Isaac Rollins back at corner. That's only going to help them. And then you got Chris Parson there at quarterback. I like the Ravenwood Raptors 42-20 on my game. That'll be where I'm at. You, though, will be seeing maybe even a better game. MUS, Memphis University School, they're at Ensworth, who has turned it on as of late. Both teams 3-1. A big Division II AAA West Region game. Of course, Ensworth right now is 1-0 in region play. They win this game, I would say there's a good chance they're in the playoffs. Joe Spears, what do you have?
Yeah, Ensworth, I think we kind of knew what they could do offensively. Levi Moore, Shamar Porter, Jacob Page, they have a great offense. They've been putting up points every week. Even in that loss to Baylor, I think they put up 28 points. So, but defensively, they've just been, ever since that loss to Baylor, it seems like they've really turned a corner. They only gave up, 18 to Christian Brothers, who was number 1 at the time. And then last week, kind of a statement win, 59-6 over Nolensville, holding that high-powered Nolensville offense to 6 points, under 200 yards of offense. They'll have a good test this week. Mac Owen for MUS, he's a really good receiver. He has 371 yards and 4 touchdowns in 4 games. He's their big go-to guy. I think in the end, Ensworth has too many weapons for MUS to deal with. MUS, their only loss, I think, is to Germantown. Germantown's really good this year, but this Ensworth team, I think they're really going to open up some people's eyes this year. I agree with you. They're going to bounce back from that bad season last year. I've got them winning this one 35-24.
Close on that one. You're getting closer. Ensworth wins this game. I think Rock Batten has more weapons on this Ensworth team than he's had probably in his 3 years he's been there, 4 years. I just think Levi Moore, you got him at quarterback with Porter and Page, and they got a running game. I mean, there's kids they've got kids all over the place that can make plays. I think this is a team that's going to be a dangerous out all season for people. It's going to be a challenge going forward. O-line, D-line could probably be a little bit more some depth there. Probably don't have the depth that Coach Batten would probably want, but I think they have enough skill guys that they're going to make up for that this week. I think they're going to win 35-21. Next up, Pope John Paul II, 4-0 at Baylor, 3-1. A team that actually beat Ensworth, handed them their only loss.
Yep. And I mean, Pope John Paul's got to go down there, and that's tough. And we're struggled with that. And Baylor, they're coming. They lost to Knoxville Catholic a couple weeks ago, and that's a really good Catholic team. Overall, they've played really well. I think this one has the recipe for a lot of points. I mean, obviously, Kenny Minshew, we talk about him every week. Maybe a guy we need to talk a little more about is his favorite target, Colin Cook. I mean, he's been fantastic this year. 11 of Minshew's 15 touchdown passes have gone to Colin Cook. He's been their number one go-to guy, and I feel like he'll be that way again this week. I had a tough time picking this game because Baylor's been really good. Caleb Hampton at running back has been a top guy for him, and they have two guys that play quarterback in Cooper Wick and Hughes Picard. I think in the end, having to travel to Chattanooga to play Baylor at home is going to be the difference in this one. I got Baylor winning 35-27.
One kid you forgot to mention, I thought that's been a really big game changer for Pope John Paul II. Elijah Robb. He's the running back there. Done a great job. Had a great game against Father Ryan in their win there. I'm like you. I think Baylor wins this game. I think the road test is the advantage for Baylor. Baylor wins this game 21-17. A lot closer to home. Davidson Academy 4-0 at BGA Battleground Academy. They're 2-2. Of course, this is now a Division II AA Middle Region game after Davidson Academy, who won the last 3 Division II Single A state titles. They're now in D2 AA. What do you have on this?
Yeah, I mean, Davidson Academy, they haven't really played the hardest of schedules yet. This will be their first big test, I would think. But the Bears haven't missed a beat since moving up, and they've blown out teams since they've moved up. Knox Roberts at quarterback's been great. Devontae Phillips has had a breakout year. I think he's already got 12 touchdowns through their first 4 games, so he's kind of tearing it. And defensively, I mean, you got Kendall Ball, who's just kind of wrecking havoc on the defensive line, and then Cortland Simmons, who's also their leading receiver, has 6 interceptions already this year. So, I mean, they have all the pieces. The game I got wrong last week, BGA proved me wrong, beating Nashville Christian. Kind of a great game for Brett Brown. Threw 4 touchdown passes in that one. And Sean Williams, we know what he does. He's had a great year. I think, and you and I may differ on this one, I think Davidson Academy comes out. They score a ton of points. They beat BGA 42-31. That BGA defense is susceptible to giving up points.
A quick flashback for everyone. Last week, Joe Spears went 9-1 in his picks this past week. His one loss was he picked BGA to lose. Guys, he's going to go 9-1 again because this is I think one of the few that we're going to be arguing against. BGA, and maybe at some point he'll start believing in what Jonas Rodriguez is doing there at BGA. I'm believing in you, Coach. You helped me last week. You're going to help me again. I think BGA, their physical play, and this is a team that had Ravenwood on the ropes in week 2. They're going to win again. BGA is going to win 24-21. Got all the love for what Coach Quinn is doing. I just think BGA is just a little bit better at this point in the season. I am really surprised in what Davidson Academy's been able to do in their first year in D2 AA. But I think this might be their biggest test of the year, and that's why I'm going 24-21 BGA. Mount Juliet 4-0 at White County 3-1. This ain't your dad's. This ain't their grandpa's at White County. This team is off to a great start. Now they're back into region play. Of course, they played an independent schedule a couple years. Tell me about this game, Joe.
Malachi Dow. I mean, he was a grown man last week. 345 yards and a pair of touchdowns and a 41-13 win over Cookeville. This White County team's really good. Their only loss is to Station Camp, which is kind of a surprise team this year. They lost that game 14-10. White County, Mount Juliet's just kind of been on a roll, though. They're beating teams the way they should beat them. Kind of struggled at times last week against Warren County. They really used the ground game to pick up the win in that. I just think this Mount Juliet team is one of the best in Class 5A this year. I think they've got the talent to really compete for a state title. If you shut down Malachi Dow, which is not an easy feat in itself, regardless of who they're playing, I think you beat White County. I think Mount Juliet does that this week. I've got the Golden Bears winning 42-14.
Malachi Dow will remind, I think, some people for what CJ Taylor did at Warren County a year ago. I like this Malachi Dow. I'm like you. I think Mount Juliet wins this game. I think Mount Juliet is a team when a lot of people were picking Henry County and Hillsboro to be like the best teams in the area for in 5A. I think I was saying don't forget Mount Juliet. I think may have had Henry County a little bit ahead of Mount Juliet, but I knew Trey Perry was going to have a good team there. Mount Juliet wins this game 34-14. There'll be 5-0 entering the break. So good start for them. Game we mentioned earlier. It's a Thursday night, folks. It's a 7:00 Thursday night game. White House 3-1. They go to Nissan Stadium where they'll be playing Waverly, which is 3-0. Waverly's 35. Waverly's 3-0. Give me your first thoughts on this game.
A lot of points. These teams both score a lot of points. White House opened the year with the loss to Station Camp. Station Camp kind of ruined everybody's starts to the season, it seems like. They held them to 7 points in that loss. Since then, White House has averaged almost 45 points a game. They gave up 40 last week to Portland. Luckily, they put up 55. Raymond Blackburn is a name to keep an eye on in this game. He's not really a passer. He has passed for 389 yards and a touchdown, but he's also run for 445 yards and 8 touchdowns. You got Reese McAfee in the backfield. He's also a great runner for him. I just think this Waverly team is special, though. I thought that going in, Jacob Dooley showed last year how good of a quarterback he is. Waverly has outscored its first 3 opponents 135-34. They kind of beat up on McNary Central last week. I think Dooley has a big game in front of the fans at Nissan Stadium. I've got Waverly winning this 45-31.
I've got Waverly 35-20. I think it's amazing what White House has struggled the last couple of years. The start of their season is something it's been a pleasant surprise for a lot of folks, and Raymond Blackburn is a big reason for that. I just think this Waverly team is pretty talented. The big question will be, we're seeing big points. What happens when you're playing under the lights of Nissan Stadium and get caught up in the moment there? Does that do we have some little bit lower scores? I don't think that's going to be the case. Maybe the first quarter, but I think they'll recover. And I'm thinking Waverly 35-20 over White House. Next game, Clarksville Academy 4-0 at Nashville Christian. Joe, help me out. What's their record? Is it 3-1 or 2-2?
They're 2-1.
2-1. Okay, Nashville Christian. Big win last week against BGA, predicted by who. Tell me about this. Oh, no, BGA beat Nashville Christian. Yeah. Sorry. Jeff Brothers done a great job at Nashville Christian. What do you got on this game?
Clarksville Academy's kind of rolling right now. Probably haven't played the toughest schedule. They beat the Tennessee Heat 87-0 last week. They're averaging 52 points per game. So, they're doing what they need to do. Cooper Wallace is a big part of that, throwing for 530 yards, 8 touchdowns. This will be their first real big test, though. This Nashville Christian team is good. BGA kind of jumped on them early. It was kind of close game. Nashville Christian scored, I think, with 3 minutes to go to make it a one-possession game. But they were never really out of that one. They kept it close with BGA. They've got the talent. Tyler Morris at quarterback's been really good for them. Josh Strickland is their leading back. I think when you really look at it, Clarksville Academy just hasn't played a tough schedule yet. They've beat teams the way they should. They had a close win over MTCS. I think Nashville Christian is a leap above whatever they've played so far. That's why I've got them winning 31-16.
Nashville Christian wins this game 42-14. I think Nashville Christian's just a better team. They've had a tougher schedule. I think tough schedules pay off. 87-0. That's nobody got better winning 87-0. So I think when you lose to a team like BGA that's very talented, I think that only makes you better. So that's where I'm going with that pick. Clarksville 3-1 at Beach 2-1. Interesting region game.
Yeah. Kind of along the same lines as that Clarksville Academy game. Clarksville's 3-1. Haven't really played a tough schedule though. They lost to Springfield. That's a good Springfield team. They beat up on McGavick. They had a 1-point win over Rossview, and then last week they kind of beat up on Dixon County. Beach has really played kind of a brutal schedule. They started off the year with Farragut. They beat Henry County, and then a couple weeks ago they lose to Hendersonville, and that Hendersonville team has turned out to be a lot better than maybe what we thought they would be. Neither team's scoring a lot this year, though. I think Beach has a few more pieces. They got a couple guys that play at quarterback for, and they're both sophomores that I think they could both come in and make some noise in this game. I think it might be kind of a low-scoring game. Beach maybe scores in the fourth quarter to kind of ice it. I've got Beach winning 24-10.
Picking a low-scoring game, I guess, compared to what we've been saying. Beach 21, Clarksville 7. I'm like you. I think Beach is. There's a loss to Hendersonville is not a bad loss. It is because it's your rival, but this Hendersonville team with Ellis is pretty dang good. Then you beat a Farragut team who's predominantly pretty dang good in East Tennessee. They're struggled a little bit, but still a good win. And I know Henry County's like 1-3, and some people are like, kind of writing them off. I don't think you can, because I think they're still pretty darn good team in 5A. So again, 21-7, Beach over Clarksville, and Clarksville's got an okay schedule. I mean, Springfield's pretty dang good, and Rossview's a good rivalry game. It's their big rival game there. So they've had some challenges this week, but I think Beach is just too good for them. So next two more games. Rockville 4-0 at Riverdale 4-0. Battle of 4-0 teams there, and if you would have told me Rockville started the season 4-0, I would have said you're crazy. They'd only won one game in their first 2 years, so obviously off to their best start in the school's 3-year history. What are you thinking on this game?
Yeah, I mean, Rockville, they've got the one COVID win, but they've won 3 games in actual games. So I mean, nice win over Siegel, 14-7 win. Last week they beat up on Lincoln County, put up a lot of points in that game. Great story. LaMarcus Nelson and Logan Nowicki have been really good for the Rockets, but I just think this Riverdale team led by that defense they're great. That's a great defense. Elijah Herring, Alex Mitchell and Caleb Herring. They're not going to give you a lot of points this year. Alex Mitchell's been great. I think kind of along those lines, the defense won them that game last week against Shelbyville. I know they scored a touchdown late. Riverdale did. Alex Mitchell on the offensive side, but they held Shelbyville to 6 points. So I think Rockville's undefeated streak comes to an end here. This Riverdale team is too good. I've got Riverdale winning 38-10.
Rockville hasn't seen a defense near as good as what this Riverdale defense presents with the Herring kids, the Mitchell kid. They got a lot of playmakers on this team. Coach Will Kreisky has one of the best defenses probably in 6A, if not the entire state. Great defensive play. Great start for Rockville and Coach Rick Rice there in his 3rd year. But I think this is the game when the streak ends for the Rockets. Here's the thing though, I don't think it's I could be wrong, but I don't think it's just an overwhelming scoring affair for Riverdale. That's probably been the one thing that they've struggled a lot, unless their defense gets them some scores or gets them in really good position. Offense has struggled at times moving the football. I think Riverdale wins this game in dominant fashion, but I think it's like 28-6. I don't think it's I could be wrong. I don't think it's a mercy rule or anything like that. I think, but I think that 28-6, people won't realize how dominant they were in that game. Yep. So last game here, and this might be out of the order what we were originally going to talk, but NBA, they host Father Ryan, and probably NBA needs a win worse than anyone right now. They're 1-3 after a dominant performance against Ravenwood to start the season. They've kind of fallen in some tough luck, but hey, you lose to Pearl Cone, you lose to McCauley, the 2-time defending state champs, by a field goal. You lose to CPA. Those are 3 quality losses. If you want to talk quality losses, those are 3 really, really good teams. Definitely don't need to get worried if you're Marty Uverard, but they need to start winning some games, especially these region games. What's your breakdown on this game?
Yeah, I mean, I saw the NBA last week against CPA, and that CPA defense really kept Marcel Reed in check. They kind of used Langston Patterson as a spy to make sure he didn't scramble or do anything crazy, and he didn't. I mean, he threw 3 interceptions. He had one really nice touchdown pass that was kind of on a broken play. But NBA really struggled offensively in that game. I think they had 3 possessions where they didn't score in the red zone. They face another stiff defensive challenge from Father Ryan. This Father Ryan defense has been great. I mean, they beat up on Cane Ridge 48-0 last week. Matthew Derrick's doing well at quarterback. Charlie Becker's a great wide receiver. I think they held Ravenwood to like 70 yards or something like that. And Ravenwood's got some weapons. I do think that the NBA is much better than its record indicates. I think that defense is really stout as well. They didn't allow any big plays against CPA, which that CPA offense, we know what they can do. I think this is a great game. I think Marcel Reed rebounds in this one, though. I've got NBA winning 28-21.
Don't know if I said the record's NBA's 1-3. They're hosting Father Ryan, who's 3-1, is off to a great start there. I'm like you. I think this is if we didn't have the Battle of the Woods and a really good matchup with Ainsworth, this could easily be one of our top 2 games. I'm like you. I'm going to go NBA wins this game. I think Marcel Reed might be a little bit of the difference. He needs a rebound game. We haven't seen a night like he did that first week of the season. It's time to see one of those nights. Rhett Hales is also a really good running back for him. Mm-hmm. I think NBA wins this game 20-14. I think maybe it's a late score to make it a 2-score game. I think it's a really good game up until the end. That's our last game.
Yeah, that's it.
And we will see. Either myself will be in the lead or Mr. Spears will take the lead, and I will be eating a lot of crow. That's it for this week's Bootleg, presented by Farm Bureau Health Plans. Of course, we want to thank, again, Farm Bureau Health Plans for all their support. Again, these shows and other things we do, we can't do that without their support. Appreciate them more than they can ever imagine. And we will see you next week. Next week, we will have a discussion breaking down Lipscomb Academy in Oakland. And then we will get right into mid-season report. Who has thrived in the mid-season. May not even talk about top games. We may spend the whole week, the whole show talking about midweek. Again, you've been watching The Bootleg, presented by Farm Bureau Health Plans. We'll see you next week.